Hello guys, it is Brittany here and welcome back to my Colorguard YouTube channel. First of all, let me apologize that it has been quite a minute since my last upload. I apologize that I've been super busy. I've literally not had one single spare day to film a video because I've been really busy teaching my own schools here in Vegas and actually going back to school myself, which has been super exciting. But I'm gonna try to get a couple of videos out to you guys super soon. So if you do have any suggestions for future videos, please leave in the comments down below. I love to make as many tutorials as possible to help you guys out, because mainly my goal with this channel is just to help the Colorguard community grow stronger and more informed. So even if you think it's a skill, big or small, I love to make a tutorial on it if you think it'll help you out. But other than that, you guys have waited long enough for this video, so let's just get to it. Tip number one on how to make your tosses stronger, and this goes for all pieces of equipment, is to make sure you come from underneath. What I mean by that is you want to make sure you don't have both of your hands up underneath your toss like this, like you're scared for it to come down, because not only is that going to give you a silly action shot if there's any photographers at your shows, it's also going to make your toss a lot weaker on the catch, because you're basically going to blend into the catch as opposed to going against your equipment for that nice solid stop. So I'm going to show you what I mean. What you don't want to do. Number two kind of goes along with our first tip, and it's a phrase that I heard a ton during drum corps and it helped me a lot, and I also use a lot with my students because it's just a great way to explain how to toss and catch stronger, is to wait longer and move faster. And what does that mean? Essentially, kind of going along with the idea of not wanting to toss like this, I'm going to want to hold my tossing position as long as possible underneath my toss until it's the last second, and then I'm going to snap both of my hands in a position to catch my equipment. Like I said, this goes for all pieces of equipment. So what you don't want to do is be here and slowly creeping up with your other hand, and then we have that weak catch again. What we do want to do is, let's say if I was tossing a triple, I'm going to go 1, 2, snap, 3. And I'm going to wait to the very last second to ensure that I have the strongest catch possible, because I'm going to have these two opposing forces snap on my rifle or my flag or my saber at the same time, making my equipment stop right where it's at and not have that little wobble that we don't want on our catches. So here's what I mean. Here's what you don't want to do. Here's what you want to do. Tip number 3 is to make sure that you know all of your release points once you start to get past a single rotation, and make sure you get to that release point in 1 count. I know, that seems super quick, but the hardest part about getting higher tosses is that big gap that we have in space we have to cover in the same amount of time. So let's say if I release a single, like maybe here, that's going to be a 1 count release and then I catch. But if I'm tossing a 6, I still have to get from here all the way to my full soft release in 1 count still. That's what makes our harder tosses, or our higher tosses a lot harder, I should say. I got that backwards. Because you have all of that space to cover in the same amount of time as your smaller tosses. So make sure you know what those release points are, and make sure you get to that release point in 1 count, not a second longer. Make sure you get there 1 count. Tip number 4 is to make sure you breathe out on your releases, and if it's a weapon toss that's higher than a single, I recommend breathing in on your dip, or breathing in on your count off. It's a higher toss on flag. What this does help with is it helps relieve the tension in our bodies, which a lot of us don't realize we have sometimes when we're tossing. We hold a lot of tension in this area because we're holding our equipment whichever way. We hold a lot of tension here. So if I go, all of that tension I'm holding up here is going to go into the momentum of my toss, and it's not going to stay here. If I go and I don't let it all go, I'm probably going to have a much smaller and a lot faster toss that we don't want, because we want our toss to be able to breathe, especially those higher tosses. So I want to make sure we breathe out on our release. Don't hold the tension. The tension is good when you're building momentum, but when you need to release it, you need to let it all go. What you do not want to do. What you do want to do. My last tip, number 5, is to make sure that you know the peak of your tosses. So whenever you're doing a toss, especially higher tosses, usually I'm saying for after like doubles and such, there's going to be a moment where your toss is going to rotate and it's going to kind of hit a ceiling in regards to its height, and it's going to start falling back down to you, which is when you're anticipating that catch. So the most important thing is when you're tossing, know when that peak is going to happen, because if you're counting and you're like, oh, my peak was a little off, you can adjust as the catcher on that catch of the toss. But if you don't know when your peak count is and you're kind of just hucking and chucking, as I like to say, you're not going to know when to go for the catch, and that's going to result in you dropping more often than you would like to. So specifically, like I was taught in drum corps, I like to assign words to my tosses because it makes it easier for my brain to understand and to know where my toss is going. For example, for a quad, I would dip, I would go 1, float, fall, catch. What those words mean, it's going to go up 1 rotation, it's going to float, which is its peak count, meaning it's not going to get any higher, that's the highest it's going to go. 1, float, it's going to fall for a rotation, and I'm going to have my catch count. So 1, float, fall, catch. Same thing for 5s, you would just add another rotation. 1, 2, float, your peak, fall, catch. It's going to be the same thing for 6s and so on. You just kind of add whatever words or numbers help you out. The main thing is know your peak, know when that toss is going to have its float count, know how long it takes for it to fall, so that way you can anticipate a better catch. What you don't want to do. I didn't know when it was going to come down. What you do want to do. 5, and 6, and 5, 6, 7, dip, 1, float, fall, catch. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Remember, if you have any suggestions for future videos or things that you are struggling on, I would love to help you guys out. So please feel free to leave a comment of anything I can help you with. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in this video, also feel free to leave a comment. That's all for me. Keep spinning. Have a great day. Bye.